Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode. And I say exciting because there are days that, well, sometimes we just don't feel that excited about doing anything because we're struggling to get through something. Sometimes, if we're struggling to get through something, I don't know, when you're faced with challenges that could be so daunting that you even question your path. Well, today we're going to have a conversation with one person that made it through on that path. I want you to be encouraged and I want you to feel really, really excited about we all have problems, but there are people that get through. They tell us about it. They tell about the journey. They talk about the path, and they get to the other side, and then we applaud them. And I want you to feel applauded as well. I want you to feel appreciated. But right now, I want to ask you to do two things. One is, if you like what you're hearing, share it with others or forward it. My God, don't keep this to yourself. And stay tuned because we'll be right back. Linda gave me the courage, the confidence to move forward.
And after I was finished with Linda K's training, I was at the next level.
It's Linda K. But when you trust that piece of you that says, I got something to give, I have something to say, you know you've got something to do.
Get on your feet, shake your hands in the air. Welcome to the stage, Linda K.
And we are back. Now, you may notice that I'm in a little bit of a different environment. Today, I was out working and showing a property. And, it's Friday. Los Angeles, San Diego, everybody's got traffic today. And so the easiest way for me to be able to broadcast today was to stream live over my phone and into never mind. See, all of us have a little bit of a journey to get through, don't we? But when you're facing challenges that are so daunting, what do? It's often that we uncover who we really are in those moments, our true strength of who we are. Because honestly, adversity can be as a powerful catalyst as anything. I heard somebody say this, and I hear it all the time. Your setback is a setup for a comeback. And I want to talk to you about our comeback kid today. Our guest today has an inspiring story of resilience and transformation as a single father, and something I can relate to as a single mom. As a single father, he faced immense hardships, including losing everything while trying to help his son. Now, we're going to find out about what happened there, because just like a lifeguard, we try to keep the aggression or the adversity away from us while we're trying to save somebody. But I'm sure that we're going to be given a story about this. But given just 3 months to live, he experienced miraculous healing. Now, I know a thing or two about miracles, and having been a co-writer of Miracles on My Doorstep, understanding how to ask those questions to uncover them, because in the disbelief of what we're going through, the incredible belief that we carry with us that tell us, keep going, keep doing, keep moving on. This man completely changed his outlook on his life and his business. And now he channels his experiences into helping others find their voice, share their stories effectively, and get on stage. His powerful journey is a reminder of how perseverance, dedication, belief can lead to your success, and he's dedicated to guiding others on their path to growth. Please join me in welcoming Devin Schubert. Devin, welcome.
Hey, Linda. Awesome to be here. And Linda, this is just an awesome opportunity for everybody to see, no matter what comes our way, we get to persevere through it, just like you are with us today. So thank you for making this happen.
I love the fact that your name is Schubert and you're wearing your colors, aren't you?
That's right. That's how it is.
That's right. Ain't too proud to show them either. I usually, and you're wearing one of my favorite colors, as a matter of fact, because I love to wear orange, like an orangey red and a blue. So I'm feeling the love. I'm channeling it. Now, talk to me, Devin. First and foremost, you have 3 months to live. I think that's kind of an important story. Talk to me about what the heck happened.
Yeah. So, Linda, I have 3 adopted children, and along with that, I was divorced before that. And so I have 3 adopted children, and one of those kids decided that he was going to have some behavioral issues after the divorce. And from those behavioral problems,
Wait
what
a minute.
happened was
Wait. So you get married. Did you try to have children of your own and found you couldn't and said, okay, let's not adopt one, let's adopt a half dozen or a quarter dozen. Right?
sure. When we had gotten married, I adopted her biological daughter, and she was
Okay.
3 at the time. And then we did try and have kids, and we went through all the testing and all those things, and it just never worked. And so I was a social worker during the time, and we ended up adopting 2 boys from foster care. And so we ended up with 3 kids. I had
So you
adopted
knew a
all
little
3 of
bit
them.
about these kids? Did you know a little bit about these kids before that, or were it was just kind of look at and you happen to know, oh, these kids need a home?
You're kind of cutting out, but I'm going to try and translate what I think you said. I did know the boys. They came to
Okay.
us as foster kids first, and we had them for about 6 to 8 months, and then we adopted them from that point. But prior to that, they had been with their biological mom, been with grandma, been with a foster home prior to that, and then they transitioned to ours.
Okay. How's my connection now? I'm
Much
hot
better.
spotting, as as you can imagine. Okay,
Much
good.
better.
So now you have 3 kids, and now what do you think that having the 3 kids added to a stressful relationship with your wife, or did things just kind of fall apart and do its course over or an organic period of time?
I do believe it was organic over time. We got married really quickly. Within 6 months of knowing each other, we had gotten married, and she really enjoyed work and had the goal and the passion to make sure that she made it, moved up in her company. And with working all the hours that she did, she ended up having an affair with her boss.
Oh no, that's like a mic drop moment. Okay, so now we got the 411 on what happens to the relationship. How old are the kids when this goes on?
Our daughter was 8, and the boys were 5 and 4.
So now so she takes hers and she leaves you with the boys. Is that about right?
So we split 50-50 legally.
How do you split a half child? I just want to know.
Well, I took him 50% of the time, and she took him 50% of the time.
Got it. All right. Now, what about the child that was her biological child? You're not the biological father of any of these kids, but nobody else is stepping up. Do you also get her daughter in that mix?
Yeah. So what happened was she decided it was the right time to reintroduce her biological father at that time. And so talk about confusion of a little girl who has
Oy,
no idea what's going
oy.
on in her life. Yeah.
All right. So now you're trying to hold it together. In the process of holding this together, tell me, is it easy?
This is definitely one of the roughest times of my life at this time. Absolutely hard.
I can't imagine. So now I grew up in a very large family. I have 7 brothers and a sister. So there were 9 of us, but chores generally fell in a certain type of category. So I, being the oldest girl in the family, after my oldest brother trained me, I think when he was maybe 5 years old, he told my mom, I got somebody in training. So he trained me to sweep and to clean up. And then he taught me how to cook because, in a large family, you're doing stuff. But did you divvy up the responsibilities for everybody, or did you take this all on your shoulder?
I pretty much took most of it on my own self. We had 2 very different parenting styles. With our children, they really needed to be nurtured. And I don't know that she has much of a nurturing bone in her body. And so we
Boy,
had the process to where I would, nurture them, and she would see everything as a behavior, and everything was a struggle because of that, which led to a lot of problems down the road.
okay, so now you've got the boys. She's out of the picture at least 50% of the time, or when you don't need to pick the kids up or drop them off. So talk to me what happens? And lead me up to, you got 3 months to live, pal. Say your best prayers for the next 90 days.
Yeah. So it wasn't even this circumstance where I was given the 3 months left to live. It was 6 years later. And so 2 years after that, she physically kicked out one of our sons because he was so physically aggressive. He was kicking holes in the walls. And
He wants
she just couldn't
attention.
handle it. He didn't want to do what he didn't want to do, and she wasn't exactly giving him the attention that he needed. And
Oh,
so at that point, Linda, I got to make a choice of choosing my son. And so I took him on full time, and I left social work at that time, and I started working for 2 moving companies as a manager and helping build those up, so I could have a little bit of flexibility in what I was
yes.
doing. Yeah.
So you did most of your moves at night or during the day when the kids were at school?
Did them most during the day, and the hard thing was is he would have struggles during the day at school, and I'd have to unhook my trailer, drive the truck all the way to school, help him calm down, drive all the way back to work, and rehook up the trailer. So you could imagine that's not exactly the best way to run a business.
Well, is this your business at this time?
I was one of the head managers at that time, so I was kind of in
Okay.
control of it. But yeah.
Okay. Well, we're not in control of problems. And especially, when we have somebody that's in our charge that we're responsible for, there's a part of us that wants to look away and think it could be somebody else's problem, or it could be something else that somebody's going to have to deal with. Send him to school, let the teachers go figure it out. You don't take that tactic. You decide, I asked for this and I'm being tested and I'm up to the test. I'm not going to fail it. So how how did you deal with that?
Yeah, so Linda, I'm being a man of faith. God told me that my one and only assignment here was to take care of my son. And so that meant that nothing else really matters, that my whole identity was wrapped up in being a father and leaving that legacy with my children and helping them through when everybody else kind of turned them away and pushed them away. And that took like the whole purpose and passion of everything that I was doing and made sure that everything fit around it. My boss understood that. My coworkers understood that and were there supportive through it all. And it
You
helped.
really had some doors opened for you, didn't you? Because in
Mhm.
anybody else's circumstance, we're in a corporate world where I don't know what state you're in. What state are you in?
I am in the lovely state of Iowa.
Iowa. So at least you've got common sense going and good common sense values and
Yeah.
family values, because in other states that might not have been the case. And then you wouldn't have had the understanding that you are there, but you are there to provide for your family, which now takes front and center up and over
Mhm.
the job. You had a very understanding boss, that's for sure.
Mhm.
So now you're 2 years into this. You're 2 years past the divorce. You're coming up on another 4 years. Is that easier now that you've got full charge of him and your son is beginning to understand that he actually does matter and he's getting the attention and love that he needs, or does it get worse?
I'd love to say that it got better, and unfortunately, it did not.
Oh,
Through the struggles of school and bullying, and then that thing called puberty that they hit. I believe that he
yeah.
had some abuse before we adopted him, which causes another whole underlying issue with trauma that he doesn't even have words for. And things got
No, but
so.
he's got a memory that he's reactive to, and you don't know what that reaction is or what it's about. So now talk to me about how you're dealing with this. What are you doing all of this? This
Yeah, so
chaos.
it was very, very difficult because we couldn't be around people a lot of times anymore. Only my close friends. He would run away. He would get physically aggressive. He would have other outbursts and actions that he would take that would not be safe to be around other people. And it ultimately ended up to where we ended up having to move. We had to move from the east side of Iowa to the central part of Iowa. And Linda, I was a social worker for 15 years. So I understand the system. I understand the judges. I understand how it all works.
Of
Nobody could help
course.
us. We spent almost 100 grand trying to find help for us. And every single person said, there's nothing we can do.
But you didn't give up.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We ended up spending about 6 months in a new house when we moved here to Des Moines, Iowa, and we couldn't leave. And the police were called probably 4 or 5 times a week because of the aggression and the physical restraint holds that I had to do. We would go to the hospital. They would release him. We'd come back. And I was hitting to a point to where that PTSD, that CPTSD was hitting so hard inside of me. I mean, 27 cameras we had in and outside of our house, not only to keep him safe, but to keep me safe of allegations of him going to school and saying, well, I was wrestling with my dad and ended up getting hurt. So there was times to where you never knew what was going to happen.
So you're trying to help and you've got to be protective, and a system that doesn't help you, that you already know the clear path of that of that help and where it can be. Where does it go next? Does it get better or does it get worse?
You know, when we moved, the Lord told me it would get better, and it's always in his time, not mine. And so unfortunately it did. It got worse. I ended up making one mistake. And that one mistake was I left a knife sit on the kitchen counter as I stepped outside. I walked back in, saw the knife was gone, and immediately knew. Now, I had spent so many months and years with that hyperactivity in my mind to make sure nothing was going to happen around us. I knew where everything was. Everything was locked up. Going out in public, we knew where everything was, and the knife was gone. He was in his room, and he had threatened to kill me before. And now it just all of a sudden became real. And so I ended up calling the police.
God. Talk about the enemy within.
Yeah. Yeah. So I called the police and let them know what happened. And they said, well, what do you want us to do? And I said, well, it's one of two choices. Either you go in and get the knife or I go in and get the knife. And I said, it's going to be fine. I'll go sit outside. You knock on the door, he'll open it, and he'll give you the knife. And that's exactly what they did. They walked in, he walked out, he got into the police vehicle. We went to the hospital, and this was the first time that when we got to the hospital, I sat in the waiting room because he didn't want to see me. And I was like, okay. And the next thing I know, it was 6 to 8 hours later, and I was the one laying in the hospital bed, shaking convulsively.
Okay, what's going on?
Yeah. So my brain and my nervous system stopped communicating. And it was what they call trauma shock. So the trauma had been encapsulated so much in my body that it didn't know how to communicate anymore. And because of that, they had reached out to the psychologist that we had met with at the Amen clinics in Chicago. And she had it documented 3 years prior that if I didn't get help in 6 months, she doesn't believe that I'm going to make it 6 months. And that was 3 years ago. And so for me to make it this long, she already knew that the writing was kind of on the wall.
Yeah, you were dealing with. I mean, you're talking about copious amounts of stress. Most people would have, would have put their child into a facility, had them drugged and locked down so that they weren't a menace to themselves or to society. That's what we do. We lock people away, throw away the key, and make them part of the system. Mm-hmm. So please tell me it gets better from here.
It does.
Because we're talking about this journey of perseverance. Mm-hmm. And yes, when we are on that path, I would agree with you then that we have a responsibility, but there's also this responsibility to ourselves, because if we can't take care of ourselves, we're no damn good to anybody else trying to fix them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how long do you take to recuperate?
Yeah, so this was the point when they gave me 3 months left to live. They wanted to put me inside of a facility. And I said, I've fought for 5 years for my son to go to get help. No, I'm going to go live with friends, and they're going to take care of me. And it was during that time, while I lived with the friends, that Jesus came and walked into my room and miraculously healed me and told me that I am going to go to the nations and share my story, that the awareness that I'm going to bring is going to help so many other people. And this is going to be the legacy that I gave everything up for the one, for my son. And now he's going to give me those nations. And he told me that I'm not going to do it alone, that I'm going to leave a legacy with all these other people coming alongside of me.
Okay, now if that doesn't give you chills, my audience, you have got ice running through your veins, because this is an incredible story and a journey of not only just perseverance, but wondering, how am I going to survive this? If I do survive this, what am I going to do? How do you get past what you've just been through? You talk about a miraculous healing, and I know that the hand can be put upon your shoulder, upon your head, and those things that stood in your way suddenly open up and move out of your way in a miraculous way. But talk to me about the recovery and that journey.
Yeah. I like to argue with God. I usually let him win. I'm learning to let him win. It works better.
I usually let him win. That's funny.
For me, there's that one word that, it all sounded good. Like, I'm going to be healed. This miraculous thing was going to happen. And then he said the word, but. That word but means forget everything that you thought was going to happen beforehand. It's going to change now. He said, you're going to go through the process. And I was like, ew. Like, I don't want to go through the process of healing. Can't I just have one of these things that just happen at the snap of a finger? And he said, only 1% of people get healed miraculously in a snap of a finger. And I want you to bring the 99 along with you so that you can experience what the healing went through, what the process is, and so that you can bring those people to share their stories along with you. So I went on a 4-month journey of healing, of going out and walking in the woods and just reflecting and building this new identity in who I was and what my calling was and who I was going to bring along with me and what my alignment was to be able to do it. Because as you know, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, there's a lot of stress and we want to give up a lot. If we don't have a purpose and a reason why behind us.
Every day there's a temptation to, I don't need to do this. I don't need to work this hard. We talk ourselves in and out of so many things, right? But you're not falling prey to that. You are doing something different. But I have a question. I know that my viewers are going to be begging this. Where are the kids during this time?
Yeah. So my son ended up going to a shelter and getting the help that he started to need there. And then my daughter was still with her mom, and my other son went to go live with his mom, with my ex-wife the full time as well.
So he never went back to his family of origin. Neither did the son that went to a shelter. This is the one. So sometimes, Mark, finish this sentence for me. Sometimes we have to leave a part in order to make, and finish that.
Say it again.
Sometimes we have to leave a part in order to make.
Oh, in order to make the fullness of who and the fullness of the story.
Yeah. And I can imagine how hard it was. I mean, because you've given your life to raising these kids, to now you have to admit that you are really human. Admit that you don't have the stamina at that moment. It doesn't mean that you won't get it again, but you don't have it at that moment. And it's okay to cry out for help. I think that's really an important message also, because we could feel like we've got the weight of the world on our shoulders and nobody's there to help us. Nobody's there to open the door. Nobody's there to, give that hand up. And I'll tell you that you do find who your friends are during that time and during that process. So you had the grace of God, and grace brings you opportunity and people and favor. It brings you favor. And you took that time to commune in nature, which is a good thing and a good place for us to put that aggravation. Now tell me how you emerge out of this. I feel like you've wormed your way into a cocoon, and I know you're gonna break out of that cocoon and come out as a butterfly. So let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's go there, and let's see where you wrap your business in this, because we we're anxious to know where recovery can go.
Yeah, it's great. A great point. For me, I honestly, I got shot out of a cannonball then. Like my purpose and my drive was like, I am going to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. And that I want to make sure that people like me who felt like they didn't have a voice, nobody would listen to them, had their voice back again. And that brought me into business coaching. That brought me into storytelling. That brought me into stages. And over the next year, I was featured on 2 entrepreneurial reality TV shows. I was starting to speak on big stages and had started creating more income than I had created before, all because my story was my mission. And when I knew what my mission was, people wanted to join alongside of that. And a lot of people feel like their voice or their story isn't valid. Whether you have something amazingly traumatic that happens, or you just have an everyday life that you feel like there's nothing, somebody relates to your story. And it's that important to get out there. Even if it's just one person that's live is changed, you don't know who that one person is and what they're called to be. And that set me on fire.
Well, on fire you actually are. So tell me a little bit more about your coaching and your process, and who are you helping besides yourself? Because when we are helping others, we really are helping ourselves, aren't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I started out, I was helping anybody that had a story and helping them turning it into a coaching program and speaking to be able to get that out. And as I continued to grow, I recognized that it was time that people were looking for more done for you things. How do you get things out onto social media? People don't understand social media, or maybe they
Correct.
just don't have time for it. And so that's where I started to dive into more social media, to recognize that, you know what, I can be on a stage and I can reach, 30,000 people, but I can hold my phone up and I can reach, just on Facebook alone, 2.9 billion people. And so people that say, I can't get my story out there, I don't have a stage. No, I can show you how. And we do that through social media.
People are terrified of social media, and there are so many social media platforms today that are begging for attention. Where did you decide to take your story?
Yeah, everything that I have grown has been on Facebook. That's where I started, and grew a following, grew a tribe, and it was absolutely amazing. And just now, after 3 years, am I starting to branch out to the other platforms and build a bigger business, because I believe it is overwhelming when you start and you have Facebook and Twitter or X, or is MySpace even a place where you're supposed to post anymore? I don't know. And it's so overwhelming. So starting with
MySpace.
one
Oh my
platform.
goodness. Right. And do you start with the end in mind? Like, if your end in mind is to be in people's living rooms, then where does that message evolve or even come from? How do people find that voice?
Yeah, a lot of it is, again, coming back to that passion inside of you. Are you going to allow fear to hold you back from somebody else hearing your story that's going to transform them? And so starting on just a simple social media platform will get you into people's houses, because people are doing all types of things with their phone in their hands, and they're going to find you and they're going to share it. They're going to share your story, and it's going to catapult you to the next level.
Where do we find you? How do we find you?
Yeah, the best place to be able to find me is on Facebook, Devin Schubert, and you'll find me in my orange. You can't miss me. I like to stand out like a caution cone.
That's awesome. I think we have something for our viewers also today. Tell me about what you are giving them.
Yeah, so I've put together the simplicity of what it looks like to build on social media. And that's through our business called OmniBoost. And OmniBoost is where we help you boost your your social media platforms to all over the place. And we want to help 70x your social media. And so I put together a playbook called Omnibus Playbook, and it is exactly how I taught my team how to run our business. And so it's the entire SOPs, there's videos, there's templates, everything that we did.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a serious playbook. Oh my. That is awesome. Well, Devin, I can't believe our time is already up, but I really want our audience to understand who you are, a man of faith, a man that has been through the trenches and back out on the other side, all with the amazing strength and stamina and perseverance that's so necessary to, one, just live your life, but to run a business and to run a family and be the head of your household. I really want to thank you today for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. It's been an honor.
My pleasure. Thank you. And that is a wrap for today. I am so excited that we had Devin on, and I really want you to grab that playbook, because if you don't know how to get your social media platform going, this is the way, and he will show you that playbook play by play. So join us again next week for another episode of Money Talk. Do you like to talk about money? If you do and you'd like to be a guest, contact me at lindak360.com.